Hi, I'm Micki Lavin-Pell, marriage, family, sex, and trauma therapist.
And I'm Molly Livingstone, comedian and often patient on this show, which I like. And this is Let's Start. On today's episode, we are going to talk about let's start having fun. Fun in relationships. Why is this a problem? Don't people have fun in relationships? Isn't that the point?
You'd think that people just know how to have fun naturally, but unfortunately, it's actually not as easy as you would think. You think that it's an innate thing, that children grow up knowing how to have fun, but unfortunately, a lot of parents don't know how to let their children have fun. And this really gets in the way of couples then being able to have fun.
All I heard is, it's your fault, mom. Like, that's why I'm in therapy. So, I mean, we were kids. I remember having fun despite, parents or whatever. Where do we lose it? Is there like
Yeah.
a specific age? Like for Jews, is it the bar mitzvah and it's like, you're an adult, stop having fun?
I think it really varies for each person. I really think for some people it's going to be, even as early as birth, where maybe the parents weren't able to connect with the babies because they were dealing with a lot of stressful things. Sometimes parents were scared of letting their child explore the world around them. Sometimes there's a lot of, those parents who don't want to let their children out of their sight. They're worried they're going to get into the cords or stick their finger in a socket or pull something out of the fridge.
Yes, helicopter parents.
More than helicopter parents. It's like pre-helicopter parents.
Oh, pre?
Yeah, it's before they start schlepping them around all over the place. That's what I think of when I think of helicopter parents, right? And it's those parents who literally want to stick their kid in a little pen, a little playpen, and not let their child move
The bubble.
up. The exercise parents,
Oh,
remember the
yeah.
exercisers?
I think those are like banned, but I know what you mean.
Thank God, because literally that child would just sit there and not move their body, and they would just play. They might as well have had a screen already at that point because they
Right.
literally were not moving anywhere. So there's that side of things, right? And then you move on from there to children when they get a little bit older, and parents are scared of allowing them to have friends, right? And then those children don't know how to develop relationships.
Right.
I
And
see
then
that now.
We see that obviously leads also into social media and everything. I think kids
Right.
who experience corona
Yeah.
at the early ages, the ones that were in elementary school or the high school kids that we
Yeah.
now see on college campuses, I definitely think that had to do with it. So, but we do have fun, don't we? Don't we do things that are still fun? Aren't we still fun people?
I think it's not that things shouldn't be just like, okay, now we're having fun, right? We can make fun doing anything. We can make fun just while you're cooking with your kids, listening to music, doing a little jig as
Right.
you're in the kitchen. Like you say that all the time that
I
you do
have
that
fun
with.
when you say jigs. So.
You have fun all the time. I'm always
Yeah.
laughing with you. But your kids do too. Let's be honest. Your kids have a great time.
I try.
I hope my kids have a great time, but your kids definitely have a great
You
time.
have to ask them. They probably say, my mom doesn't let me have fun. But I think that I would like to hear from you then, before we even get into how do you have fun in your relationship. So it's like, how do you make sure you're being fun or, not taking, is it about don't take life too seriously, or is fun different than that?
It's easier said than done, right?
well, yes.
I mean, just going back to what we were talking about is where do things go wrong, right? Where people were often told delay gratification. You can't have fun now. First do your work, then have fun. And why can't you do both? Why can't you have fun while you're at work? That's something I try to incorporate into all of my sessions. Is I try to incorporate laughter and fun and make light of certain things, because oftentimes couples come in particular when I'm working with couples, and there's so much heaviness in the room you could slice it with a knife. And so what I try to do is I try to make light of the fact that it's so heavy, things are so heavy. Where can we find ways of having fun even in the seriousness?
Right.
When I have parents who come in and they've got small kids, for instance, and they don't know how to have fun with their kids because they're so busy cleaning up the flipping mess on the floor all the time. And they can't just try to make a game with their kids about cleaning up the mess, or they're so worried about, am I going to really have enough time and energy for X, Y, or Z? And they can't even just be with their children and be in that fun, light space.
Right. Well, I think this goes back to the usual I want to control situations.
Sure.
And it's kind of in our nature and it's what we know best. And you're saying like, do the work and then have fun. But
Yeah.
to me, that seems actually the most productive you can be. Like, yes, you should first finish your work and then allow yourself the extra time to have fun. Whereas if you're having fun, well, who wants to go and work?
But the thing is, I agree to some extent, like maybe do the hard parts, But why can't there be some lightness? If everything feels so heavy all the time, why do you even want to do it? Why bother living? Right?
If it's going to be like that.
No.
It actually, you are reminding me
Yeah.
that I saw this very adorable Instagram. I want to call her Beatrice. She was 102. I'm not sure if that's
Wow.
her name, but I like that. So I'm going to go with it.
Yeah.
And you notice this with old people all the time, okay? People who you want to know, like, what did you do?
How did you get there?
Yeah, and they're like, literally, the person's like, did you eat a plant-based diet? Did you make sure you got enough sleep? And she's like, no, give me a hot dog. I'll eat one right now. Like, I don't believe in any of that stuff, but I know how to stop and appreciate and take your time. And I feel like the older you get and the longer you live, and you're like, wow, I'm doing it. And, you let go of the expectations and the you do put
Now
the
I'm
fun.
doing this.
Yeah, because you
Compartmentalizing.
and you want to have fun because, like, well, if I wait to have fun now and I'm 102, I'll be dead.
Right.
And I'm sure she's been thinking like that. Probably there's a point where, like, that it switches. I don't know, as we live longer, if it used to be like when you were in your 50s you started, now it's in your 70s you start. But you see those people and they're giving you the wisdom.
Yeah.
They're saying, no, it's not taking, drugs, whether legal or illegal. It's not eating the right food. It's not sleeping. It's really
Savoring the moment.
yes, and savoring the moment is fun. So, like,
Yeah.
I feel like also the definition for fun is off. Because
Yeah.
we all think, like you said it to me at the beginning, it's not about scheduling and going someplace. You don't have to go to the amusement park to have fun.
And it's not about jumping out of planes and bungee jumping. That's
Although
not
those are fun. But
They
yeah.
can be fun, but it's not like you just have to wait for those moments when you could do those huge, expensive, big things.
Yeah.
Each moment can be fun. Each moment can be light, and it's about
Yeah.
incorporating lightness. I remember the movie. It makes me think about the movie Life is Beautiful.
Oh, gosh.
Right? And I remember I didn't have children at that point, but I remember thinking, oh, I want to be that parent who, even in the face of death, is able to make lightness and fun. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, it's about just for people that haven't
Sure.
watched it and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
I have to have my kids watch it.
It's a beautiful movie that takes place during the time of the Holocaust, and they're in a camp.
Yeah.
And basically, he tells his kid that this is just a game.
Right.
We're playing a game, and you get 10 points for this, you get 50 points for that.
Right.
And he never, even when he himself gets yelled at or attacked, he tries to make it light and joke.
Even as he's being taken away by the Nazis to his death.
Yeah.
He's still playing joke. He tells his kid, you hide, and then, at this point, come out and find me. And then he's gone. And so all of a sudden, his mother appears. And
Yeah.
it's just incredible.
But he was able to really hold on and have, like, I don't know if the kid was necessarily having fun, but he wasn't experiencing the Holocaust and the camps and the pain the way everybody else was.
Right, because the father was showing the child how to have fun. And we as parents need to really hold the torch of fun and
Yeah.
lightness for our children, and to show them that things can be light along the way. And I know I struggle with this. I mean, I'm talking the talk right now, but I know I
we
struggle
all
with this
do.
too.
We all
I
do.
struggle. I'm admitting it right now, putting my hand on my chest. I struggle to have fun. I struggle to bring lightness. It's something that I'm aware of, and I try to bring as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that I think it's for all of us. It's a really important message for all of us to always bring the lightness and fun. It's also for couples. It's about not waiting till, okay, we're going to have sex when, It's about, even if we have a really hard day, really scheduling it in and saying, and let me tell you something, sex is great for headaches. It is, I'm telling you, it is an absolute cure. I have tried it myself. I've had the worst headaches.
Approved.
Yes. You have a headache, have sex. It is fabulous. So,
And they prescribe that at the pharmacy.
they should. They should.
Well, I guess
No more
Viagra's.
Panadol.
Yeah.
Take yourself, have some sex. Because there's something about the hormones that just helps to rejig and rebalance everything.
Yeah.
And everything, your hormones just do what they need to do. So you don't feel crappy anymore. And so that's another thing. I mean, sex is, it's adult fun. It's the best free adult fun that there is.
I want to challenge people who think that the control is in the first we do this and then we have our fun, to go back to exactly what you were saying with that example from Life is Beautiful, and this is what Viktor Frankl, who's another incredible survivor, and he actually was a therapist and did logotherapy was his whole thing.
Yep.
But the one thing that Nazis or anybody can never take away from you is your self-will and how you decide to see it.
Exactly.
Right? And so another video that I once saw also was about a woman who was a dancer, and she was also in a camp, and she always envisioned how when she was out of there, she would dance and on a big stage back in Budapest or wherever she was.
Right.
And this helps us get through it. So talk about control.
Yeah.
You actually can control even within the letting go of having fun.
Exactly.
And so that should be the challenge, and something that I hope that we can inspire people here to be able to do. I think that's so important. So
not waiting for, I mean, like how many of us have been waiting for this war to end, for instance?
Right. Well, that is a whole nother layer, because
Totally
then you're
different
talking
level.
about, wait, am I even allowed to have fun right now?
Yeah.
And so that's super Israeli culture.
Yeah.
And Jewish, in fact.
Yeah.
I always think it's Israeli, and then I realize it comes from a Jewish roots. And I just appreciate Judaism so much for these like tangible, thoughtful perspectives that even if I wasn't a Jew, I would respect. And I'm not a religious person, but I really do have so much respect for how the religion and the peoplehood and the culture is built. So
look at what we're doing today.
right. So this is your example.
Right. Today, well, there's a few things.
Yeah.
First of all, I just came from a Haskara memorial of my friend's son who was killed a year ago. And secondly, it's 80 years to Auschwitz. It's the Auschwitz Memorial. As we're filming this, it's 80 years to Auschwitz. And we're talking about fun. Like, how crazy is that? As Israelis say, it's hafuch al hafuch. It's back to front. It makes absolutely no sense.
Right.
And it's about, and what we're showing you today is how to incorporate fun and lightness even in the darkest of times.
Which is very Jewish and
It's
very
so Jewish.
Israeli. And that is
It's
what
us.
we're doing. Like, in fact, when the war started on October 7th and my husband was called up and my son's bar mitzvah was October 14th.
Yeah.
And we debated, should we push it off? Poor little bugger. He had worked so hard to like have that parsha all year long.
Yeah.
And we actually said, no, we're commanded, especially on Shabbat, to bring joy.
Yeah.
And we did that. And my friend came up to me after the ceremony on Shabbat and she said, you didn't just do this for your son, you did this for us. We all needed this. People were dancing. And it was that first week. It was so harsh. But every week thereafter, and as we're recording this, we're seeing hostages come back. And it's a very surreal way of trying to feel like I want to hold my space for joy and relief, thinking about those parents, thinking about those women who have what they were under.
Yeah.
And yet I also have to hold that there's dozens more still there, still suffering, dead, on the way.
And those who are also suffering because they've been through trauma and the terrorists who caused their traumas
are being
released.
Absolutely.
That's a whole nother level.
Right. And so you're kind of like mourning.
Holding so many things.
Yeah. And you're mourning it and you're celebrating it. And also we do that with Shiva, right? Like after you have a funeral, Jews sit for 7 days during Shiva and people come over and they tell happy stories and you're not meant to sulk. And that actually helps you to be healthy and healed. So I think that very much this concept of fun can be applied. And we were talking about this is a perfect example with Purim, which is not porn. I know sometimes I say Purim and it sounds like porn. Both can be fun. But this is Ta'anit Esther, which is the day of the fast that you do before you celebrate. So again, dark and light.
That's what we're doing.
And you should just have fun. Right? That is the point of Purim, is that you're really supposed to, like, you're commanded almost, aren't you, to drink until you can't tell the difference between.
From the darkness, we see the light. We got to always find those pockets of light in the darkness. And that's what fun is really all about.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you, because this is fun.
Oh, I'm so glad. I had a great time.
This is, like, in the darkness, we have both thought, like, what is something that we can do to bring a little light? And that is to help people that wherever you are in the world, you feel this suffering, and this suffering is your own suffering. It's not necessarily about this war. It's not about anti-Semitism if you're a Jew. It can be just suffering because you're in a low-income situation and you want to do better for your kids. You've lost your job. I mean, you've lost a parent. Everyone has their own pain and suffering.
Right.
And we wanted to be able to put out a podcast that says, we hear you and we see you, and we want community to help support you and build you and lift you, and this is a podcast that you can listen to and know that, like, well, I'm just the patient, but I'll be honest and, you know, give you my points of views, but also Micki with your expertise and your honesty. you really have this ability to say, like, listen, I'm one of you, and I'd like to give you my expert advice. So as we're going to close here and close another episode, why don't you share with your expertise just a few more tips, just how do we guide ourselves to being more fun as individuals and in relationships?
So basically, you really want to not wait to have fun. You want to find opportunities to have fun all the time. Any opportunity, make that up front and center. Really, when you make fun a priority, it happens. If you wait, if you're always delaying the gratification, if you're always waiting for that time when you're going to be able to have fun, it probably won't ever happen. That's really, I mean, I think that's the biggest take home of
Great.
anything that I say. I think you just really got to make the time for it, and you got to make it moment to moment, minute by minute, suck the marrow out of life.
Let me just challenge you for a second for those in relationships.
Sure, why don't you do
like
that?
myself, right? So like 4 kids, so many dentist appointments, eye doctors, traveling, soccer mom stuff you don't want to be doing. And how do I even prioritize fun in my own relationship or want to?
It's really about trying to have conversations with your kids along the way as you're doing these things.
Oh, I'm not talking about my kids though.
Oh,
I'm
just
saying
for yourself.
No, for
Oh,
my
your
husband,
relationship.
my relationship, my partner. I mean,
Yeah.
I know how to have fun with my kids and embarrass them and do all the things. But what about actually with my partner and prioritizing that relationship with fun?
So,
Don't just tell me to schedule a date night. Don't tell me
no,
to schedule.
I'm not. No, don't schedule a date night. No, I think that you really need to check in every single day. I really believe you need to
It's
literally.
exhausting. Yeah.
But it shouldn't be, because it should be light and fun. You should be able to just say, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to find time, at least a half hour every day,
Yeah.
to just be together in some sort of way. Or checking in and sending little emojis and sending little memes and sending little things like, oh, I just saw this. It made me think of you. I saw this beautiful flower. I thought of you.
Yeah.
As I'm going along the way. Like, I just walked here on my way back from my friend's son's Haskara, and I saw these crazy graffiti on the wall. I took pictures of it and I sent it to my husband. I said, oh, I saw this crazy political graffiti, thinking of you.
I walked by a fish market and I'm like, this smells like you. Just kidding. He has a different. No, just kidding, of course. No, but I always use humor as my form of fun.
Of course.
All right. Well, I think that we've really let people know that you can have fun. We can have fun. We can all have fun. We're there to support each other through bringing the light and keeping it light. And this is another episode of Let's Start. If you enjoyed that episode of Let's Start, it's easy to keep listening or watching. All you have to do is
follow us on Micki Lavin-Pell on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, or check out my website, lovingwisely.co.il.
what are you waiting for? Let's start.